Some betrayals don't come with shouting or slam doors. They come wrapped in a mother's smile and a quiet knife in the back. My name is Sophia, and for as long as I can remember, I was the good daughter, the one who stayed close to home, helped with family events, and never made waves. While my older brother chased glory in the military, I quietly built my own career, rising through the ranks in military intelligence. I earned my commission, led classified briefings, and worked harder than anyone around me. But to my mom, I was still just the girl who plays with papers. She never said it outright at first. It was always subtle. A disappointed sigh when I mentioned late nights at the base. A comment at dinner. Your brother is out there protecting us, Sophia. You're lucky you get to sit behind a desk. I told myself she was proud in her own way. I wanted to believe. Last month, I received the news I had dreamed of for years. I was being promoted to major. The ceremony was set, the paperwork signed. All that was left was to share the joy with my family at our monthly Sunday brunch. I walked into my parents' beautiful backyard that morning with my heart full of hope. The table was set with fresh flowers and my mom's famous pastries. Everyone was laughing. For one perfect moment, I thought this would be the day they finally saw me, but what I didn't know was that my mother had already made a few quiet phone calls, and my promotion was hanging by a thread. Asterisk, the brunch started like any other. My brother arrived in his dress uniform, medals shining, and Mom couldn't stop beaming. She hugged him extra tight, whispering how proud she was of her hero. Then she turned to me with that familiar half smile and said, "Sophia, honey, pass the juice. You look tired. All that desk work must be exhausting." I laughed it off and told them the news. "I'm being promoted to major next month. I wanted you all to be the first to know." The table went quiet for half a second. My brother offered a polite congrats. But my mom, her face changed. She set her coffee down slowly and tilted her head. "Oh, sweetheart," she said sweetly. "Are you sure that's wise? You know how demanding that would be. You're already so busy helping me with family things. And let's be honest, your brother has the real career here. Maybe you should let someone more experienced take it." I felt my stomach drop. Before I could respond, she continued, her voice soft but firm. "Actually, I spoke with Colonel Hayes yesterday. He's an old friend of the family. I told him you've been under a lot of stress lately and might not be ready for more responsibility. He agreed it would be best to hold off on your promotion for now." The words hit me like ice water. She had gone behind my back and tried to sabotage the biggest achievement of my life, all because, in her eyes, only my brother deserved the spotlight. I sat there shattered, fighting back tears. My own mother, the woman who was supposed to lift me up, had quietly blocked my path and painted me as weak and overwhelmed. The betrayal cut deeper than any argument ever could. For years I had dimmed my own light so she wouldn't feel uncomfortable. I had skipped opportunities, made excuses, and stayed smaller so the family narrative stayed comfortable. One shining sun, one supportive daughter. That morning, something inside me finally broke open. The pain was crushing, but beneath it, a quiet strength began to rise. I wasn't going to beg or argue. I simply looked at her and said, "Mom, this is my life, my career. You don't get to decide that for me anymore." She smiled like I was being dramatic and changed the subject. The rest of brunch felt like a fog. I smiled through it, but inside I was crumbling. The woman who gave birth to me had chosen to hold me back rather than celebrate me. Until everything changed. Asterisk, we were clearing the table when the sound of a car pulling up made everyone turn. A black official vehicle stopped at the curb. Out stepped a tall, distinguished man in full general's uniform, 4 stars gleaming on his shoulders. It was General Marcus Hall of Hall. one of the most respected leaders in the entire army, and the man who had personally reviewed and approved my promotion file months earlier. Mom's face went pale. She smoothed her dress and hurried forward with her best hostess smile. General Hawley, what a surprise. We weren't expecting. He walked straight past her, his eyes locked on me. The entire family froze as he stopped in front of me, snapped to attention, and gave a crisp, perfect salute. Major Sophia Reyes, he said, his voice carrying. Across the backyard, on behalf of the United States Army, it is my honor to personally congratulate you on your well-earned promotion. Your work and intelligence has been outstanding, and we are fortunate to have you. My father looked stunned, and my mother, she stood there with her mouth slightly open, color draining from her face as the truth hit her. General Hawley turned slightly toward my family. I understand there was some confusion about Captain Reyes' readiness. Let me be perfectly clear, her promotion was never in question. Her record speaks for itself. He handed me the official promotion orders right there on the brunch table, then shook my hand warmly. We look forward to your continued service, Major. As he left, the weight of what had just happened settled over everyone. My mother had been exposed, not with shouting, but with quiet, undeniable truth. The calls she made, the doubts she planted, the way she tried to dim my light, all of it crumbled in front of the one person whose opinion actually mattered in my world. She tried to speak, but no words came. For the first time, she had to face the fact that her good daughter had outgrown the small box she tried to keep me in. That afternoon, I walked away from brunch with my head high and my future wide open. The promotion went through exactly as planned. My mother and I are still working through the distance that now exists between us, but I no longer shrink myself to make her comfortable. I learned something powerful that day. Never let anyone, not even the person who raised you, decide how bright your light can shine. Your dreams are not up for negotiation. Your worth is not measured by how small you stay, so others feel bigger. When someone tries to block your path, keep walking. The right doors will open, sometimes with a 4-star general walking through them. To anyone watching who feels held back by family expectations, hear this. You are allowed to rise. You are allowed to shine. And when you do, the ones who truly love, you will celebrate, while the truth gently exposes the rest. I'm Sophia, and I finally chose myself. Thank you for listening to my story. If it moved you, please share it with someone who needs to hear they're allowed to grow. What's one dream someone once tried to dim for you? Tell me in the comments. Your voice matters. I never imagined the person I loved more than anyone in this world would be the one to tear my heart out in front of everyone I cared about. But that night, under the warm glow of restaurant chandeliers, my own sister did exactly that. My name is Emily, and for as long as I can remember, Sarah was my safe place. We grew up sharing the same bed during thunderstorms, the same dreams of escaping our small town, the same promise that no matter what, we'd always have each other. I was the big sister who worked 2 jobs through college so she could chase her art dreams. I was the one who paid her rent when her boyfriend left her broken. Our favorite family restaurant, celebrating my promotion to senior accountant. The table was full. Mom, Dad, Sarah, and me, laughter bouncing off the walls like it used to when we were kids. Candlelight flickered across Sarah's face, and for a moment I thought, this is what family feels like. I had no idea it was the last normal moment I would ever have with her. I'd noticed the missing money weeks earlier, small transfers from our joint emergency account, charges on my card I never made. I told myself it was a mistake. Sarah would. Never, but that night, after the waiter cleared the appetizers, I leaned in gently. Sarah, the account is short again. The softness vanished. A cold, sharp smile curled her Lips the kind you see in nightmares. She set her wine glass down so hard the stem cracked. Then she stood up, voice trembling in fake fear, and pulled out her phone. "You're scaring me. You've been threatening me for weeks." The entire restaurant went quiet. Forks froze midair. My parents stared in horror. And before I could even breathe, Sarah dialed 911 and screamed into the phone. "My sister is attacking me at the table. Please send someone now." My world tilted. The sister I had carried through every storm was calling the cops on me. Right there, in front of everyone, I sat frozen, heart shattering into pieces too small to ever put back together. What I didn't know in that moment was that her betrayal was only the beginning, and that the same phone call would lead to the moment of police. Captain would honor me in front of the whole world. Asterisk. The seconds after she screamed felt like hours. My chest tightened until I couldn't breathe. Tears I refused to let fall burned behind my eyes. "Sarah, why?" She just kept pointing, tears streaming down her face, tears that looked so real, even I almost believed them. Mom reached for my hand across the table, but I couldn't feel it. All I could hear was Sarah telling the 911 operator, "She's been stealing from me, harassing me. I'm scared for my life." Every word was a knife twisting deeper. I had spent years protecting her, and now she was painting me as the monster. The restaurant manager hovered, unsure what to do. Guests whispered. My father's face went pale. I sat there, completely exposed, feeling smaller than I had ever felt in my life. The sister who once cried on my shoulder after her first breakup was now destroying me in public. When the police sirens finally wailed outside, Sarah actually smiled at me, a tiny, triumphant smile only I could see. In that smile, I saw everything. The jealousy she had hidden for years. The resentment because I had made it, and she hadn't. She had been draining my accounts to fund a secret life. I knew nothing about luxury shopping. Loans in my name, even forging my signature on documents. I had discovered the truth only days earlier, but wanted to give her a chance to explain. Sarah ran to them, sobbing. She threatened to hurt me if I didn't give her the money back. "They're going to handcuff me right here," but the taller officer, Captain Ramirez, held up his hand and said quietly, "Ma'am, we need to hear both sides." I tried to speak, but my voice was gone. All the years of love, all the sacrifices reduced to this. My own sister choosing to have me dragged away in front of our parents. The pain was so deep, I felt it in my bones. I had lost her. Worse, I had never really had her. In that moment, something inside me shifted. The broken girl who always forgave began to fade. A quiet strength I didn't know I possessed started rising. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." The officers asked us to step outside. Sarah kept crying dramatically, playing the victim perfectly. Because what Sarah didn't know, what no one at that table knew, was that 2 weeks earlier, after finding the forged documents, I had gone to the police station alone. I had handed Captain Ramirez a folder full of proof, bank statements, signatures, everything. I had cried in his office that day, begging him to help me stop my own sister without destroying our family. He had promised to investigate quietly. Now, standing on the sidewalk with red and blue lights flashing, I realized my quiet courage was about to speak louder than Sarah's lies ever could. Asterisk. Captain Ramirez looked at Sarah, then at me. His voice was calm but firm. "Miss Sarah, we've actually been waiting for this call." Sarah's fake tears froze. What are you talking about?" He turned to me with respect in his eyes. "Emily, you did something incredibly brave. This 911 call just gave us probable cause." He nodded to the other officer, who stepped forward and read Sarah her rights. Right there on the sidewalk, in front of the restaurant windows where our family watched in stunned silence, my sister's hands were cuffed behind her back. Her screams changed from fake victim to real panic. Emily, tell them it's a mistake. We're sisters. We were sisters, Sarah, but sisters don't steal your life and then try to send you to jail. Captain Ramirez turned to the small crowd that had gathered, restaurant guests, my parents, even a few passersby. He raised his voice so everyone could hear. Folks, tonight I want to publicly honor Emily, despite the pain of family betrayal. She chose truth over silence. She chose justice over protection. That kind of courage is rare. On behalf of the department, I'm presenting her with our Citizens Valor Award right here, right now. My father stood taller than I had ever seen him. Sarah was. Placed in the back of the squad car, still begging, still trying to twist the story. But no one was listening anymore. The lies had finally caught up with her. As the car drove away, the weight I had carried for years lifted. The shattered pieces of my heart didn't magically heal, but they began to rearrange into something stronger. I stood on that sidewalk, metal shining under the streetlights, and felt peace settle over me for the first time in months. I learned that night that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. Sometimes the deepest betrayal comes from the person you'd die for. But I also learned that choosing truth, even when it breaks your heart, sets you free. If you're watching this and carrying the pain of someone you love turning against you, remember my story. You don't have to stay silent to protect them. Your courage might just be the thing that saves you and honors you in ways you never imagined. Thank you for letting me share my truth. I'm Emily, and I'm finally healing. I never thought a single day could shatter everything I believed about family. But there I was, heart pounding, standing under the warm summer sun at our annual family reunion, smiling like nothing was wrong. Hi, I'm Rachel, the quiet middle, sister who always took the path less noticed. While my older sister Mia chased the spotlight with her flashy real estate career and perfect Instagram life, I chose a simple government job. At least that's what everyone thought. For years, Mia made sure I never forgot it. Phone calls that started sweet always twisted into the same knife. Rachel, sweetie, when are you going to stop wasting your life behind some dusty desk? You could be doing something real, like me. Every holiday, every birthday, the same words. I'd laugh it off, but inside I felt so small, so broken. I'd sacrificed everything, late nights, missed weddings, even my own dreams, to serve something bigger than myself. But I never told a soul the truth. Not my parents, not my cousins, not even Mia, because some secrets are too heavy to share until the moment is right. That reunion felt different. I drove to the big community park by the old municipal airfield with butterflies in my stomach. The whole family was there, tables of homemade food, kids running around, laughter floating in the air. I hugged everyone, but I could already feel Mia's eyes on me, sharp and ready. She pulled me into a group photo, smiling that fake perfect smile, and whispered, "Still playing government worker, huh?" Adorable. My chest tightened. I wanted to cry right there, but I held it in. Because deep down, I knew something she didn't. Something that would change everything. I just didn't know the sky was about to prove it. Asterisk, the afternoon started innocent enough. We ate, we caught up, we told old stories. But then Mia turned the spotlight on me, like she always did. She stood up in front of 30 relatives, clinking her glass with a big grin. Everyone, let's give a round of applause for my little Sister Rachel and her super important government job. Still filing papers and making copies, right? I mean, bless her heart for trying. The laughter hit me like a wave. Cousins chuckled, my mom looked away awkwardly, and Dad forced a smile. I stood there frozen, cheeks burning, feeling completely exposed, shattered. How many times had she done this? How many times had she made me feel worthless in front of the people I loved most? I remembered every cruel comment over the years, how she told the family I had no ambition, How she'd once even suggested I move back home because government jobs don't pay enough to survive. She wasn't just teasing, she was breaking me piece by piece and enjoying it. My hands trembled around my plastic cup. Inside, the pain turned into something else, something stronger. I had spent years swallowing my pride, protecting a secret that could silence her forever. I thought about all the nights I couldn't come home, all the classified briefings, all the times I chose duty over family. And still she mocked me. Right then, something shifted in my heart. The hurt didn't disappear, but it transformed into quiet strength. I wasn't going to scream or fight back with words. I was done being the punchline. I took a deep breath and smiled softly, saying nothing, because I knew what was coming. The minutes dragged on. Mia kept going little jabs about my boring life while she bragged about her latest sale. Every laugh from the family felt like another crack in my soul. But I stayed calm, watching the sky, until everything changed. Asterisk, then sky began to rumble. At first it was just a distant hum, but it grew louder, deeper, shaking the ground beneath us. Everyone looked up, shielding their eyes from the sun. A massive shadow swept over the park. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the unmistakable white and blue jet appeared, sleek, powerful, and impossible to mistake. Air Force One. It descended gracefully, landing perfectly on the airfield just 100 yards away, right beside our reunion. The engines roared one last time before going silent. The stairs lowered. And then he stepped out, the President of the United States, waving with that familiar warm smile. Security moved with him, but he walked straight toward our group like he knew exactly where to go. My family stood in stunned silence. Mia's face went pale. Her perfect smile vanished. The President reached me first, shook my hand firmly, and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Captain Rachel Thompson, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you. Your skill and dedication as lead pilot of Air Force One have kept me safe through every mission these past 4 years. The country is prouder of you than you'll ever know. He pinned a small commendation on my blouse and added, and thank you for arranging this special stop so I could meet your family in person. The world seemed to stop. Cameras from phones flashed. My parents' jaws dropped. Cousins whispered in shock, and Mia. She stood frozen, mouth open, cheeks burning red with humiliation. All her taunts, all her cruel jokes, they died right there on her lips. The golden sister who thought she knew everything suddenly had nothing to say. Later, as the President's plane prepared to leave, Mia walked up to me with tears in her eyes. Her voice cracked. Rachel, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. For the first time in years, she wasn't mocking. She was broken. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. I pulled her into a hug and whispered, it's okay. Some jobs don't need applause until the moment is right. That day taught me something I'll carry forever. Never let anyone dim your light because they can't see its true brightness. True strength doesn't shout, it waits. And when it finally reveals itself, even the loudest voices fall silent. I still have my government job, but now everyone knows exactly what it means, and I finally feel free. I still remember the exact moment my heart cracked open at a family reunion. The kind of day that starts with sunshine and laughter, but ends with everything you thought you knew about love and family turned upside down. My name is Elena, the youngest of 3 sisters, always the one who smiled through the teasing, always the peacemaker. While my older sister Victoria built her empire in luxury real estate private jets. Designer everything, endless social media praise, I quietly chose a different path. A government job, they called it. Safe, boring, predictable. Victoria never let me forget it. Every gathering became her stage. Elena's still playing civil servant, she'd say with that pitying laugh, loud enough for aunts, uncles, cousins to join in. I'd force a smile, swallow the sting, tell myself it didn't matter, but it did, every single time. I carried the weight of their underestimation like stones in my chest. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that my desk job required me to disappear for weeks at a time. Classified briefings, midnight takeoffs, the kind of responsibility that keeps you awake wondering if tomorrow will come. I had learned long ago to keep my truth locked away. Not out of shame, but protection. Some lights are too bright for casual family dinners. I told myself I didn't need their approval. I had purpose. I had duty. Yet deep down, a small, wounded part of me still ached for the day they'd finally see me. That reunion was supposed to be ordinary. A big rented farmhouse, long tables under oak trees, children chasing each other, music drifting from speakers. I arrived early, helped set up, hugged everyone. Victoria swept in fashionably late, air-kissing cheeks, already scanning for her audience. When she spotted me arranging napkins, her eyes lit up with that familiar gleam. "There's my favorite government girl," she announced to the group. Still saving the world one spreadsheet at a time? Laughter rippled around me like broken glass. I felt my face burn, but I stayed quiet, because something was different that day, something I hadn't planned to reveal, until the sky itself decided otherwise. Asterisk the afternoon unfolded slowly at. First, plates of barbecue, old stories, kids showing off new tricks. Then Victoria turned the conversation like she always did straight toward me. She stood on a picnic bench for dramatic effect, glass raised. "Let's toast to Elena," she called out, "the sister who chose safety over success. While I'm closing million-dollar deals, she's, what? Filing expense reports? Bless her consistent little heart." The laughter came again, louder this time. My father chuckled uncomfortably. My mother looked down at her plate. Cousins exchanged glances. I stood frozen, holding a tray of lemonade, feeling every eye on me like judgment. Inside, something tore. Not anger exactly, something deeper. A quiet, devastating sorrow. How many years had I absorbed these blows? How many nights had I come home, exhausted from missions no one could ever know about, only to hear the same jokes? I remembered the phone calls where she'd sigh dramatically, "Elena, you could have been somebody. Instead, you're just there." I remembered birthdays when she'd give me office supplies for your little cubicle life. Each comment chipped away until I barely recognized the confident woman I was at work. At home, I was shrinking. My hands shook as I set the tray down. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of her. I looked at Victoria smiling, glowing, untouchable, and realized something cold and clear. She didn't just tease. She needed me small so she could feel tall. That realization hurt more than the words ever could, but pain has a strange way of forging steel. As the mockery continued, as more relatives joined the gentle ribbing, a calm settled over me. Not defeat. Resolve. I had spent years protecting my secret to keep the family peace. Today, peace was no longer the priority. I glanced at the open field behind the farmhouse, the private airstrip we'd always used for small planes during events. The wind shifted, a low rumble grew in the distance. I checked my watch. Right. On time. I took one slow breath and whispered to myself, "Enough." Asterisk the rumble became thunder. Heads turned, conversations died. A sleek white jet appeared low over the tree line, unmistakable blue and silver trim, American flag crisp against the fuselage. Air Force 1. It descended with perfect grace, touching down on the grass strip less than 200 yards from our tables. Dust swirled, engines whined down. The entire family stood in stunned silence as the stairs lowered. Then he appeared. The president. Casual in a polo shirt, waving once before walking straight toward us, Secret Service trailing at a respectful sight. Distance, my relatives parted like water. Victoria's face drained of color. Her glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the ground. The president stopped in front of me. Major Elena Reyes, he said clearly, voice carrying across the frozen crowd. 4 years as mission commander on this aircraft. You've flown me through storms, crises, and more than one midnight emergency. The nation owes you more than words can express. He pinned a small service medal to my shirt, then turned slightly so everyone could hear. I asked to make this stop today so your family could finally meet the woman who keeps the country moving safely behind the scenes. Thank you, Major. He shook my hand. Cameras flashed from every phone. My parents' eyes filled with tears. Aunts and uncles stared in open shock, and Victoria. She looked like the ground had vanished beneath her. All her confidence, all her superiority gone, replaced by raw, trembling regret. After the president boarded and the jet taxied away, the silence lingered. Then Victoria walked to me on unsteady legs. Her voice was barely a whisper. Elena, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down her face. For once, she had no clever comeback, no deflection. Just broken pride and genuine remorse. I looked at her not with triumph, but with something softer. I never wanted to prove you wrong, Torre. I just wanted to be seen. I pulled her into a hug. She cried against my shoulder like a child. That day didn't erase the years of hurt, but it healed something deeper. It showed me that real strength doesn't need applause every day. Sometimes it waits quietly, doing the work no one sees, until the moment arrives when truth can no longer stay hidden. Now when family gathers, the jokes are gone. In their place is quiet respect and occasionally a proud smile from my sister. I still fly. I still serve. And I finally feel light enough to carry both my wings and my heart without apology. Some lights take time to shine. But when they do, even the loudest voices learn to listen, asterisk. I can still hear my father's voice echoing in that crowded officers' club ballroom. Traitor. He said it loud enough for every uniform in the room to turn. The word landed like a slap across my face-sharp, public, final. Classes paused. Mid-air, conversations died. I stood there in my dress blues, medals gleaming under the chandeliers. Feeling smaller than I had at 16. My name is Captain Sarah Reynolds, 32 years old, Naval Intelligence, 15 years of service. 2. Combat tours. 1 classified operation that earned me the Navy Cross and cost me everything else. I grew up in a house where duty wasn't a choice. It was oxygen. My father, Rear Admiral Brett James Reynolds, made sure of that. He raised me on stories of honor, sacrifice, chain of command. He pinned my first rank insignia himself when I commissioned. He actually cried when I shipped out the first time. I thought that meant something. For years I believed the hardest part of my job was the secrets I carried. What I didn't understand until too late was that the real weight wasn't the classified files. It was the silence they demanded. Especially from family. The night of the annual Navy League Gala, I had just returned from 18 months in a place I still can't name. I walked into that ballroom expecting pride, a handshake, maybe even a quiet well done. Instead, my father saw me, strode over, face red, voice trembling with fury. You sold us out, he said. You gave them classified intel. You're a traitor to your country and to me. The room froze. I felt every eye on me. My chest tightened so hard I couldn't breathe right. I looked at him, my hero, my compass, and saw only disgust. Opened my mouth to explain. Nothing came out. He turned away. Walked back to his table. Left me standing alone in the center of the room like I no longer existed. I wanted to disappear. I almost did. But then the double doors at the far end opened. Admiral Marcus Hale, 4 stars, former director of naval intelligence, stepped in. He scanned the room once, eyes landing on me. Then on my father. He walked straight through the crowd. No hesitation. When he reached us, he stopped, looked my father in the eye, and said 3 words. Asterisk hook, beginning, approx 460 words. I can still hear my father's voice echoing in that crowded officers' club ballroom. Traitor. He said it loud enough for every uniform in the room to turn. The word landed like a slap across my face shirt. Public, final. Glasses paused midair. Conversations died. I stood there in my dress blues, medals gleaming under the chandeliers, feeling smaller than I had at 16. My name is Captain Sarah Reynolds, 32 years old. Naval intelligence, 15 years of service, 2 combat tours. 1 classified operation that earned me the Navy Cross and cost me everything else. I grew up in a house where duty wasn't a choice. It was oxygen. My father, Rear Admiral Brett James Reynolds, made sure of that. He raised me on stories of honor, sacrifice, chain of command. He pinned my first rank insignia himself when I commissioned. He actually cried when I shipped out the first time. I thought that meant something. For years, I believed the hardest part of my job was the secrets I carried. What I didn't understand until too late was that the real weight wasn't the classified files. It was the silence they demanded, especially from family. The night of the annual Navy League Gala, I had just returned from 18 months in a place I still can't name. I walked into that ballroom expecting pride, a handshake, maybe even a quiet, well done. Instead, my father saw me, strode over, face red, voice trembling with fury. You sold us out, he said. You gave them classified intel. You're a traitor to your country and to me. The room froze. I felt every eye on me. My chest tightened so hard I couldn't breathe right. I looked at him, my hero, my compass, and saw only disgust. Opened my mouth to explain. Nothing came out. He turned away, walked back to his table, left me standing alone in the center of the room like I no longer existed. I wanted to disappear. I almost did, but then the double doors at the far end opened. Admiral Marcus Hale, 4 stars, former director of naval intelligence, stepped in. He scanned the room once, eyes landing on me. Then on my father. He walked straight through the crowd. No hesitation. When he reached us, he stopped, looked my father in the eye, and said 3 words. Mid, conflict and betrayal, approx 580 words. Stand. Town gem. The Admiral's voice was low, calm, the kind of calm that carries more weight than any shout. My father's shoulders stiffened. He didn't turn around right away. When he did, his face was a mask of confusion and barely contained rage. Marcus, he said tightly. This doesn't concern, it concerns me, Admiral Hawley cut in, because I was the one who signed the order. I was the one who sent her in, and I was the one who read every debrief. Your daughter didn't betray anyone. She saved lives, ours, theirs, the whole damn chain. Silence swallowed the room again, thicker this time. My father blinked. The leaks, the compromised op. The board said. The board read what? We let them read, Holly said. Need to know. Sarah had clearance. You didn't. I watched my father's face change color, draining, jaw slackening. The man who taught me never to show weakness suddenly looked exposed, fragile. Halzer turned to me. His eyes softened for the first time. Captain Reynolds, he said, you were never asked to explain yourself. That ends tonight. He pulled a folded letter from his inside pocket, gold embossed, official. This is the citation for the operation you ran. Declassified enough for this room? Read it. He handed it to me. My hands shook as I opened it. The words blurred at First, then they sharpened exceptional courage, critical intelligence, prevented imminent attack, saved over 200 Allied personnel, recommended for retention of clearance and promotion. I looked up. My father was staring at the paper like it burned him. Hal spoke again, quieter now, but every word carried. She didn't sell secrets, Jim. She protected them. While you were retired playing golf, she was bleeding for the same flag you swore to defend, and you called her a traitor in front of the entire Navy family. My father's mouth opened, closed. No sound came out. I felt the old pain rise, the years of letters unanswered, calls ignored, holidays skipped because you chose your path. I had told myself it was duty, that he was proud in his own way. But standing there, watching him shrink, I realized the betrayal wasn't just his accusation. It was his refusal to believe in me. Tears burned my eyes. I refused to let them fall. Instead, I folded the citation carefully, placed it back in Hale's hand. "Thank you, sir," I whispered. He nodded once, then turned to my father. "Apologize to your daughter, Admiral," in front of everyone who heard. "You shame her." My father looked at me, really looked. For the first time in years, his voice cracked when he spoke. "Sarah, I was wrong. I'm so sorry." The words hung there, raw, broken. I didn't answer right away. I just nodded. Asterisk. The room slowly exhaled. Conversations restarted in murmurs. People drifted away. But my father stayed. He stepped closer, tentative, like he was afraid I'd vanish. "If you moved too fast, I thought I lost you to something dark," he said. I couldn't bear it, so I convinced myself you turned. "You didn't ask," I said quietly. "You assumed." He nodded, tears in his eyes now. "I failed you." I looked at him, the man who taught me to stand straight, to salute the flag, to never cry in uniform, and saw the cracks I'd never allowed myself to notice before. "I needed you to trust me," I told him. "Even when you couldn't understand." He reached out, hesitated, then rested a hand on my shoulder. "I trust you now," he whispered, "and I'm proud. God, I'm so proud." I let the tears fall then, just a few. Silent ones. Admiral. Halle watched from a distance, then gave me a small salute before leaving. That night, my father and I sat outside on the balcony long after the gala ended. No speeches, no excuses. Just two people trying to rebuild something that had been broken for too long. He didn't fix everything. Some wounds take more than one apology. But he started showing up. Phone calls, visits, questions instead of judgments, and I started letting him in slowly, carefully. Sometimes justice doesn't come with fireworks. It arrives in 3 quiet words from someone who knows the truth. Sometimes revenge isn't destruction. It's being believed when no one else would. Listen, I spent years carrying the weight of secrets alone because I thought that's what strength looked like. That night I learned strength also looks like letting someone see your scars and trusting they won't turn away. If someone you love has ever doubted you, questioned your path, or called your loyalty into question, remember this: the truth has a way of finding its voice. And when it does, it doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be heard. I forgave my father, not because he deserved it right away, but because I deserve peace. And peace, I found, is worth more than any medal. Thanks for listening to my story. If it reminded you of a time you had to prove yourself to the people who should have believed in you first, leave a like, share your own moment in the comments, and subscribe so we can keep finding healing in each other's truths. Your truth matters. Never stop protecting it. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of your heart. I never imagined the people I called family would walk away when my life hung by a thread. But that night, everything I believed about love and loyalty shattered into pieces. My name is Elena. Family. I was the quiet one, the reliable daughter who never complained, who always put everyone else first. That's why when the pain hit me like a freight train 2 months ago, I told myself it was nothing, just nerves before my final exams. But by midnight, the agony was unbearable. Mom drove me to the emergency room while Dad stayed home with Liam. The doctors took one look and rushed me into surgery acute appendicitis that had already ruptured. I woke up hours later in a dim recovery room, groggy, scared, and desperate. For my parents' faces, they did come. Mom's eyes were red. Dad kept checking his watch. I reached for their hands, whispering, I was so scared. He stepped outside, came back looking torn, and said the words that still echo in my nightmares. Alina, your brother, has a game. The scouts are there. We have to go just for a couple of hours. You'll be fine here, right? The nurses will take care of you. Mom kissed my forehead quickly. I nodded. Too weak to argue, watching their backs disappear through the door. The room felt colder instantly. I told myself they'd return soon. I watched the clock. 1 hour, 2, 3. The pain meds wore off, and the emptiness in my chest hurt worse than the incision. No calls, no texts. A small voice inside me whispered, something is very wrong. I didn't know that night would be the beginning of my awakening, and the start of a revenge no one saw coming. Asterisk hours turned into the longest night of my life. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead while I lay there alone, staring at the empty chair where my parents should have been. Every beep of the monitor felt like a reminder, you are not the priority. Around 2 a.m., a kind nurse came in, saw the tears I couldn't hide, and asked if I needed anything. I whispered, my parents. They said they'd come back. She gave me the saddest smile and checked my chart. Tomorrow, not tonight. Not when I was still half-drugged and terrified. That's when the memories started flooding in. The time Liam's soccer tournament clashed with my piano recital Mom and Dad chose him. The family vacation they canceled because Liam needs new cleats for the championship. I had always told myself it was fine. He was the baby. I was strong. But lying in that hospital bed, abandoned on the worst night of my life, I finally saw the truth. I had been invisible to them for a very long time. The betrayal cut deeper than the surgery. I felt so small, my own parents chose a Friday night soccer game over their daughter recovering from emergency surgery. The pain in my body was nothing compared to the ache in my heart, but somewhere between 4 a.m. and sunrise, something shifted. The tears stopped. A quiet fire started burning inside me. I wasn't going to be the forgotten daughter anymore. I wasn't going to keep smiling and pretending it didn't hurt. For the first time, I allowed myself to feel angry, and that anger felt powerful. It felt like strength. By the time the morning nurse brought breakfast, I had already decided this would be the last time they broke me. I would heal not just my body, but every part of me they had ignored. And when I was ready, I would make sure they felt exactly what I felt that night, completely and utterly alone. Asterisk, I was discharged the next afternoon. Mom and Dad finally showed up looking exhausted from the long night at the game. They hugged me like nothing had happened. Liam bounced and talking nonstop about the scouts who watched him. I smiled the way I always had, soft, understanding, invisible. But inside, I was already planning over the next 6 weeks I'd recovered quietly. I didn't argue. I didn't cry in front of them. Instead, I poured every ounce of energy into myself. I studied harder than ever, applied for every scholarship I could find, and started a secret video diary on my phone. Night after night, I recorded the truth, the hospital abandonment, the years of being second place, the way their love had always come with conditions. I didn't post anything yet. I waited. And came the perfect moment. Game of his life. The whole community was buzzing. Mom and Dad invited half the neighborhood to their victory party afterward. They asked me to help set up, to smile for photos, to be the supportive sister one more time. I said yes. I connected my phone to the big screen they'd rented for highlights. Instead of game clips, my hospital video started playing my pale face. The empty chair, my raw confession. They left me after surgery because my brother had a game. Gasps rippled through the room. Phones came out. The video I had quietly uploaded to a private link earlier went live on my new anonymous account. Within minutes, it exploded. Thousands of views. Shares from strangers who had felt the same pain. Parents like this don't deserve their children. Mom's face went white. Dad tried to stop the video, but it was too late. Liam stood frozen while scouts who had been talking to him suddenly checked their phones. The party ended in stunned silence. The next weeks were hard, but they were mine. My parents called, cried, begged for forgiveness. Liam texted apologies. He clearly didn't understand. I moved out 2 months later with a full scholarship to the college of my dreams and started building a life surrounded by people who actually show up. The video is still out there. Millions have seen it now. Of Liam's teams, and for the first time they tasted what it feels like to be forgotten. Today, when I look in the mirror, I don't see the invisible girl anymore. I see someone who chose herself. And that's the sweetest revenge of all. If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this. Real family doesn't leave you alone in your darkest hour. Blood means nothing if love isn't shown. Protect your heart, heal on your own terms, and never be afraid to walk away from people who only love you when it's convenient. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been the forgotten one, know you're not alone, and your comeback will be beautiful. I still remember the exact moment my heart cracked open. It wasn't the surgeon's knife or the burning pain in my side. It was the sound of my mother's voice, saying those 5 words like they were nothing. Your brother has a game. My name is Sophia, and up until that night, I believed family was the one thing that would always catch you when you fell. I was 20 in my second year of college, the dependable older sister who helped with homework, cooked dinners when Mom was tired, and cheered loudest at every single one of Liam's soccer matches. Liam was 17, talented, charming, the son everyone orbited around. I told myself I didn't mind being in his shadow. After all, that's what big sisters do: support, sacrifice, stay quiet. Then came the evening, everything unraveled. I'd been feeling off for days, sharp stabs in my abdomen I brushed off as stress. But that Friday, the pain doubled me over in the kitchen. Dad rushed me to the AO while Mom stayed to finish packing Liam's gear. Tests confirmed it. My appendix had burst. Emergency surgery. As they wheeled me away, I squeezed Dad's hand and whispered, "Tell Mom I love her." He nodded, eyes worried, but I saw him check his watch. I woke in recovery, disoriented, throat raw from the tube, body heavy with meds. The room was quiet except for beeping machines. I looked around for familiar faces, empty chairs, no flowers. No one. My phone sat on the side table silent. I texted Mom, "I'm out of surgery. Where are you?" Minutes dragged. Then her. Reply, "We're at Liam's game, honey. He's starting tonight. Scouts are here. We'll come right after. Rest up. Love you. Love you." Those words felt hollow, echoing in the empty room. They had left me fresh from the operating table, still half asleep and scared to watch a high school soccer match. Tears slipped down my cheeks before I could stop them. The nurse came in, saw my face, and gently wiped them away. "Family running late?" she asked softly. I could only shake my head. In that moment, the pieces of years of small slights clicked together. Recitals I performed alone, birthdays overshadowed, Every time I heard Liam's game is more important right now. But what I didn't know then was how deep that wound would cut, or how it would forge something unbreakable inside. Emmy asterisk, here is your complete narration script for the video title. Your brother has a game. They left me broken. My cold revenge. Written in first-person female narration, dramatic and emotional cinematic style. Natural spoken English, focusing on heartbreak, quiet strength, and satisfying justice. Total word count, approximately 1,450, ideal for 7 to 8 minutes at a measured, emotional. Delivery pace, closing parenthesis, dot hook, beginning. I still remember the exact moment my heart cracked open. It wasn't the surgeon's knife or the burning pain in my side. It was the sound of my mother's voice, saying those 5 words like they were nothing. Your brother has a game. My name is Sophia, and up until that night, I believed family was the one thing that would always catch you when you fell. I was 20 in my second year of college, the dependable older sister who helped with homework, cooked dinners when mom was tired, and cheered loudest at every single one of Liam's soccer matches. Liam was 17, talented, charming, the son everyone orbited around. I told myself I didn't mind being in his shadow. After all, that's what big sisters do: support, sacrifice, stay quiet. Then came the evening everything unraveled. I'd been feeling off for days, sharp stabs. In my abdomen, I brushed off as stress. But that Friday, the pain doubled me over in the kitchen. Dad rushed me to the AO while Mom stayed to finish packing Liam's gear. Tests confirmed it. My appendix had burst. Emergency surgery. As they wheeled me away, I squeezed Dad's hand and whispered, "Tell Mom I love her." He nodded, eyes worried, but I saw him check his watch. I woke in recovery, disoriented, throat raw from the tube, body heavy with meds. The room was quiet except for beeping machines. I looked around for familiar faces, empty chairs, no flowers. No one. My phone sat on the side table silent. I texted Mom, "I'm out of surgery. Where are you?" Minutes dragged. Then her. Reply, "We're at Liam's game, honey. He's starting tonight. Scouts are here. We'll come right after. Rest up. Love you. Love you."